अस्सलाम वालेकुम डियर स्टूडेंट्स। तो जो हमारा आज का टॉपिक है वो है फ्लोएम ट्रांसलोकेशन, कि फ्लोएम के थ्रू किस तरह से जो फूड मटेरियल्स है वो ट्रांसपोर्ट हो रहे हैं। तो अभी तक हमने जाइलम ट्रांसपोर्ट पढ़ा था कि ट्रांसपोर्ट ऑफ वाटर एंड मिनरल्स किस तरह से होता है। तो जो फ्लोएम ट्रांसलोकेशन है, इसके लिए एक जो रिलेशनशिप है जिसका नाम है सोर्स एंड सिंक रिलेशनशिप। दैट मीन्स कि फूड कहाँ पे सिंथेसाइज होता है और किस तरह से ये ट्रांसपोर्ट हो रहा है फ्लोएम के थ्रू जहाँ पे इस फूड की ज़रूरत होती है। सो लेट्स सी व्हाट आर सोर्सेज। सोर्सेज आर दोज ऑर्गन्स ऑफ द प्लांट वेयर द फूड इज़ अवेलेबल or where the food can be produced. So for example, we will take leaves. Leaves are the sources of food because in leaves photosynthesis occurs, right? So the food is synthesized in leaves and it is then transported through phloem to other parts of the plant where the food is needed. Now this food can be taken to roots, or it can be taken to fruits, or it can be taken to apical meristems where the food is also needed. So this is one way transport of phloem. Another way transport of phloem means the when we sow a seed, and then the seed it contains food, right? If we talk of dicot seed, it contains two cotyledons, and those cotyledons are the sources of food. So when we sow a seed, the seed gives rise to a seedling and then ultimately to a plant, new plant. So the food, first of all, this food which is present in the cotyledons, it is transported through phloem to the growing tissue, to the growing apical meristems. Then the apical meristem cells they divide and they give rise to a new plant. Now this leaf, this seed, they can act as the sources, right? Sources of food. What are the sinks? Sinks means the food where it is translocated, the food where it is needed. So if food is synthesized in the leaves, the leaf acts as source, and then this food is transported to the roots, to the tubers. These roots, they act as sinks. Again, the food which is synthesized in the leaves, it is a source. This leaf acts as a source, and then this food is transported, it is translocated to the fruits. The fruits acts as the sink. So this is known as source sink relationship. Now, how is this food translocated through phloem? So first of all, let's understand what is phloem loading. So phloem loading means the movement of sugar, the movement of food materials at the source is referred as phloem loading, or it is a process whereby carbohydrates, that is sugars, they enter the sieve tube at the source. This translocation of food materials through phloem, it is explained by a hypothesis which was given by Munch, that is known as Munch's hypothesis. And another hypothesis and another theory is there which is known as pressure flow theory or mass flow theory. So Munch's hypothesis क्या बोलती है? Munch's hypothesis is that a high concentration of sugar develops in the phloem near the source, right? So leaves में जो phloem होता है वहाँ पे higher concentration of food की develop हो जाती है because it is synthesized in the leaves. Then phloem loading result in lowered water potential compared with adjacent xylem cells, causing water to move from xylem to phloem by osmosis. Now let's understand this point. As I have already told you that whenever solutes are added in a solution, okay, let's take a cell and it has got pure solution, it has got pure water in it. Now when we add the solute in this cell, in this pure solution, in this pure water, the water potential of this pure water, it decreases. You all know that by adding solute to pure water, the water potential decreases. So what will happen then? When the water potential decreases, the osmotic pressure increases. Now when osmotic pressure increases, the water from the adjacent cells, it will move into this cell where the water potential decreases. So this is known as end osmosis. So same thing happens here. Due to phloem loading, due to movement of food materials, due to movement of sugars into the sieve tubes, the water potential of sieve tubes, it decreases. Now there are adjacent xylem cells because we have already talked about anatomy, right? So this xylem and phloem, they are present adjacent to one another. So due to decreased reducing water potential of sieve tubes, the water from the adjacent cells, it moves into the sieve tubes. Now when this movement occurs, there is the development of pressure in the sieve tubes. So this pressure, it makes the food materials to transport from that source towards the sink. This influx of water creates high turgor pressure near the source and lower turgor pressure near the sink. So what will happen then? This causes the movement of water and sugar from the source to sink. Now removal of sucrose at sink. Now what happens at the sink? Now at the sink, the removal of sucrose occurs, and when this removal of these sugars occurs, the water potential again increases, and when the water potential increases, the water from these sieve tubes, it moves out into the adjacent xylem cells. So then what will happen? These solutes move to the sink cell and water goes back to the xylem. Now there is one model which is known as the pressure flow model or mass flow model. So this diagram explains you how this translocation of food occurs. Okay, I'll show you this image. On the right side you see the companion cell. First there is source cell, then there is companion cell. The source cell, it is the source, means it synthesizes the sucrose, it synthesizes the food materials, right? So from the source cell, the food, these red dots that you see, this is the sucrose. It moves into the companion cell, right? Companion cell, it is a part of phloem. Now from these companion cells and phloem sieve tube elements, they are connected through plasmodesmata. Now due to this movement of sucrose into the companion cell, this companion cell moves this sucrose into the phloem sieve tube element, right? Now when the sucrose enters the sieve tube element, the water potential decreases. You can see here the psi W is minus 1.1 MPa, psi P is 0.6, and psi S, that is solute potential, it is minus 1.7. So what will happen when sugar enters into the phloem sieve tube element? Water potential decreases. Now there is xylem vessel element nearby. The water from this xylem vessel element, it moves into this phloem sieve tube. Now due to the movement of water and due to the movement of sucrose into the phloem sieve tube element, the turgor pressure increases. Now this turgor pressure, it pushes the food materials along with the water towards the adjacent next sieve tube, and then towards the sink. And at the sink, the sucrose is removed from sieve tube element into the companion cell, and then from companion cell into the sink cell. So due to removal of sucrose at the sink, the water potential increases, and then this water moves out of the sieve tube element into the next xylem vessel. Now through this, because you know that this xylem vessels, they transport water, so this water is taken back to the first xylem vessel. So this is how this pressure flow model works. Now here again you will see this physiological process of loading sucrose into the phloem, and then pressure flow, and then physiological process of unloading sucrose from the phloem into the sink. Now there is one term which is known as sieve element companion cell complex, because this is very much important that you should remember this thing. What is sieve element companion? This is known as SEC complex. SEC, that means sieve element companion cell complex, SECC complex. Okay, so sieve element and companion cells, they are always connected to one another through plasmodesmata, and they are considered as a functional units. Clear? So these numerous plasmodesmata connect sieve tube element to companion cells, and the two cells are referred as sieve element companion cell complex. Clear? So this concludes our topic, that is phloem translocation, and this phloem translocation occurs through pressure flow model. Okay, thank you.